Call the Joint Park O&M Committee meeting to order. Hey, Chairman Kevin, could you sit in? Cause we've got 6 members of the committee and we only have 3 here, so you'd make it.
We don't know who Earl is.
We don't know, we do know who Earl is.
Connor
He's
Earl.
the deputy,
right?
deputy mayor.
He's on the committee.
Okay.
And Dave sits in.
Harrington was.
I
I thought you designated John and then Dave was
Yeah.
an alternate, no?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now, in any event, we have a
Let me know.
quorum.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, motion made by Kevin Garrity, seconded by Supervisor Kenny. All in favor? Aye, opposed, carried. So, the first item is the park construction update.
Yes, and, we have, Bill Laney here from Clark Patterson Lee, and he's probably most familiar. Give an update.
Well, as everybody knows, the restroom building is open and functional. The other, 2 contracts that are currently underway is the cutting edge contract, which was contract 3, which, would be the west end of the project is, coming to a close. They have some plantings that they'll have to do later this fall at the appropriate time. Keller is contract 4, they're doing the skateboard park and they're doing the children's adventure play area, and that is well underway, and concrete is being poured and forms are being built for the skateboard park. That should take a good month before you start to see some shape to it. The adventure playground is going well. Both of those should be done by fall. And as Keller completes his work, he'll be doing the sidewalks on the east end of the building and doing the entryway from Beach Road into the park. There's a couple more contracts that still have to be let. One is for the signage, around the park, the educational component, and then there's also some metal work and the LED sign that will be our information source on Route 9 and also on the Beach Road. So things are going well. We expect this to take shape before the snow flies. So, any questions?
Is there any other discussion on the entrance in from Beach Road? There was some discussion about the possibility of moving the fence further out or over towards the fort. Fred?
I'd like to comment on that if I could. First off, I've never seen a project run more controlled. Everybody's in agreement. It's really almost funny.
Amazing that nothing has gone that wrong.
Not like the old days, right? We had a meeting down there. Elan was there. The consultant had a bunch of people there. Dave came, we talked to Dave Harrington after, and the county guys were there. And everybody came, the contractor guys, everybody came to an agreement. It was really incredibly simple, and it's one of those, let's just get it done. If I just gave Bill a copy, I signed a permit for the village and the county to come on our land, and the way that they drew it up, it's on the village stationery, they drew it up that, you're allowed to come onto our property up to 50 feet for construction purposes, landscaping purposes, all of that.
Okay.
Fine.
Okay.
It never made sense to anybody to have the sidewalk 1 foot
Yeah.
of grass and then the fence.
Right.
So rather than get into a deal with 13 lawyers and everybody, we've given you a permit and we'll work it up anyway if Bill says to.
Okay.
You can actually do it under that one. You can come 3 feet off the sidewalk, put the fence up on Fort property.
Okay, that's great.
It'll give you 3 feet, inside the fence for whatever they want to do, plant flowers, who cares?
Yeah.
And that solves all kinds of problems
Right.
for all kinds of people.
Yeah.
It just made common sense. We all agreed they're going to stake the fence out, and then we'll come down and look at it and say that's fine.
Okay.
Put the gates in where they go. One gate, I said, if you're 2 feet from the end of a roll of chain link, move the gate 2 feet.
2 feet, right.
Let's just get it built, get
Okay.
it done nicely,
Yeah.
and get it done, and that's where that part of it stands.
Okay. Well, thank you for the cooperation on that, and thank Bob Black for us. Yeah, that's great. Okay. Does everyone understand what we're talking about? This is on the Beach Road entrance, and on the right-hand side is you would be going in from the Beach Road to the park.
We will need, according to my bosses, there's a certificate of insurance for the permit from the county and the village.
Right, okay. Yeah, well, that's great. Very good. Glad to hear it. Okay, anything else on the construction update? Okay, then we're on to authorized payment to the Village of Lake George for event expenses, reimbursed for labor and contract expenses.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. On page 1 is the resolution request, and then you'll see you've got multiple pages, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And those are invoices from the village for various services they provided in conjunction with the events that have been occurring this summer. And,
We've already agreed to the rates, right? The rates are the rates that we agreed to?
I think at some point, the committee, Mayor, do you remember, did the committee authorize actual rates, or was there a set limit? I think the only time we set a limit was for the parking attendance.
Right.
And then other than that, it's,
I'll make a motion.
which we're not parking
Yeah.
on the parcel anymore. These are all,
These are attendants that have to be on the property when there's the actual show going on. There's
I'll make a
usually,
motion.
there's one on all the time.
That's at $11 an hour. So we have a motion by the chairman, Garrity, second by Supervisor Kenny. And the total of all of these is $4,522, right?
yes.
Okay. Yeah, and the revenue has been coming in great, and the mayor has been a super promoter and got all sorts of events and for this year as well as last year.
And you'll see, this has been, really the of course, the biggest season in the festival space ever, and a lot of these expenses we anticipate will go away for next year, and that's kind of the next thing we wanna talk about is
Oh, we gotta vote on
our rates and our fees for next year.
Okay.
But, in an effort to bring in new events, there were some additional costs that were incurred as part of this, so you'll see some porta-john costs and some, dumpster costs that we anticipate will go away.
Okay, so we'll call the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, carried. So then we're on to, 2016, the event fee rates. We had a meeting, Jeff, me, and Mayor, to talk about rates, and actually after that, I had an email from the mayor with some suggestions for a few changes from what we had discussed. But they look fine to me, but you wanna explain them?
What's happening, Mr. Chairman, is that the event promoters that have used the festival space this year have already been asking for applications for next year. They obviously wanna book that week, Maricade, the wine festival, they wanna, get that week lined up. I didn't wanna give them applications because I think we need to, raise the fee because of certain expenses that we're going to have prior to the, when we decided on the fees last year, we didn't have any, restrooms and we didn't have any fence, and now we've got
Right.
those expenses, so that's what we discussed. The projected revenue, from the events this year, will be somewhere around $44,000, at our present fees, and with the fees that we discussed, next year, it could go up as high as $56,000 to $60,000. So there'll be a $15,000 to $18,000 increase.
Right.
And what we basically decided was that correct me if I'm wrong here, I guess Jeff kept some minutes, so maybe Jeff, you might wanna.
Yeah, I based on the discussions we had, the meeting, and then the follow-up conversations, I tried to lay out on, page 9, it's the back of the agenda, the proposed fees, and rather than have a day use fee that just gets multiplied by the number of days, we thought it prudent to have a little bit of a discounted rate for multi-day events where, it will certainly bleed over into weekdays. So what we're proposing is, single use, $2,500, 2 days, it would be $4,000, so $2,000 a day for those. The same for 3 days would be $6,000. And then additional consecutive days as part of the same event would be, at $1,500 each. As part of this, what we think is reasonable is to allow the events to clean up the following morning. As long as they're off-site by 10 a.m., there wouldn't be an additional charge for that. But if they need additional setup days, either before the first day of the event or after 10 a.m. the day following the event, then we would charge them, $500 a day for those. And essentially that would be, because of the loss of use. We do anticipate as the park develops, public will be in there, there'll be a lot of informal use of the festival space in between events. We are proposing a security deposit for every event, and that would be due 10 days prior to the event, and then we would return it, following a successful completion. We're proposing that security deposit be $500 at this point. You'll see the separate line down there that we'd like the 50% of the fees turned in 30 days in advance of the event, and then the remainder of the fees plus the security deposit 10 days in advance of the event. The other thing we talked about is what is going to be included as these fees, and we want to make it clear to these events. As I mentioned, some of the expenses we've incurred this year have been to accommodate the fact that the bathroom buildings weren't available. We had new events with various needs, and on some of those, through the mayor's negotiations, we ended up covering, some dumpster costs and some other additional costs. So what we're proposing now is really just to set a policy on what is included as part of that base fee. So you'll see on that final paragraph I have written there that we're proposing that the fee includes an attendant that will be staffed by the village to be on site during the event. That attendant will be available certainly for any issues and coordination, but they will, they'll be keeping an eye on the bathrooms and the event as it proceeds. They'll be pulling garbage bags. They won't be disposing of the garbage bags, but at least pulling garbage bags, tying them off so that we don't get into a situation where the trash receptacles out there are overflowing during an event and causing a mess. They'll also do any minor cleanup in the bathroom. We'll also, as part of this, the village's forces will clean the bathrooms each day. So for the multi day events, it'll be cleaned once each day. If they want something more than that, then that will be negotiated. If they want additional dumpsters or additional personnel or any other services, then those would be at the cost to the municipalities.
Chairman Garrity, do you have something?
Yes, I do.
Kevin?
I'm reading this. It said 50% of fees are due 30 days in advance.
Right.
Is that excessive? I mean, is that just, what fees are you talking about, Jeff? Rental?
The festival use fees,
And then on
that
your next one,
$2,500.
the remainder of the 50% and the security deposit is due 10 days. Why wouldn't you ask for a security deposit 30 days and then the fees? I mean, I just think you're asking people to come up 30 days ahead of the event with paying the rent,
50%.
50%, but then you're not asking for the security deposit until 10 days before the event.
Yeah, the intent of the security deposit is really for damage. It's not really, and I guess what we discussed was, in order for them to lock in these dates, once these dates are locked in, they're excluding other events. So what we don't want to get into a situation of an event submits a permit, we accept the permit, we're 10 days away from the event, and the event says, sorry, I can't get my stuff together, it's not going to happen, and then we have a dark weekend in the middle of the summer when there was other events that had already been turned away. What we've done this year is require that 50%, and I think pretty consistently the mayor's been collecting checks well in advance, and in fact, some of them have been at the permit application stage way earlier this spring.
That's non-refundable?
Yeah.
Yes, it would be non-refundable if they cancel and it's not because of something we did or some extraordinary circumstance, and we lose a weekend. Yes, that would be something.
What portion of it? Half of it or the whole amount?
I don't think we've set that. We can articulate that into this resolution.
We should set that policy because it's probably going to happen at some point. Good point. And your point is, shouldn't we ask for the security deposit the 30 days in advance? Is that what you're...
Well, that was part of it. I was
Yeah.
just trying to understand this, but, think it's working the way you're doing it, that's fine, but I mean, so you're not refunding 50% of that? In other words, you buy the place and you want them to pay 30 days ahead of the event. Has anybody
Half of the
talked
cost.
about that, Bob?
Mayor, has that been discussed at all with, you know, if they submit an application, give us 50% of the rental fee, is that locked in, and if they cancel at the last minute or cancel, prior to the event, do they get that back?
We haven't had any incident like that. I would think that unless we were able to book another event to take that spot, that it would be non-refundable.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
so I can add that
so-
language.
So if if it's 30 days before they pay the 50% and then they cancel out before the 10 days, then they would lose 50%, but if you get right up to 10 days, they paid the full amount and they forfeit the full amount, is that?
Unless there's another event that comes in and says, we'll take it, and there's no loss in revenue for the,
After
for the
30
park.
days, your chances of getting another event would be very slim. I think it's common practice. You put a down payment down on something and then you back out just before, you're not gonna get your money back.
Right.
Unless for some reason or another it's replaced with a like amount.
Should be non-refundable then.
Right,
okay, the committee can add that into the resolution, certainly.
right.
Jeff, may I ask a question?
Yes.
So we're gonna rely on, I guess, the village to clean the bathrooms and, change the trash bags and so forth. If an event wants more trash removal than that, is it going to be, and it says based on fees, do we anticipate any other company coming in and doing that, and do we need certificate of insurance?
Could be a dumpster.
Well,
right.
there are events that are gonna, hire, porta-johns. A lot of these this summer are having that's strictly up to them, you know, who they deal with. We'll know in advance, so we can get the insurance. Several of them will get their own porta-johns. Under this, they're also responsible for getting their dumpster and having it hauled away. So it's up to them again to whatever size they need. All we're doing during the event is just going around and making sure the trash cans don't overflow.
Right.
And throwing the bags in the dumpster, but at the end, they've got a contract for it, and they've gotta remove it.
But at the beginning, they gotta provide a certificate of insurance.
For both the porta-johns?
For any other
Yes.
subcontractor.
The porta-johns and the
Right.
dumpsters, okay.
Right, for any, and that's the way the permit, you know, reads, it's for any contractors, subcontractors, services, you know, everything.
Gotcha.
The one other thing that at this point, we're including is the use of the water and electric services there. And we had discussed maybe setting a limit on the water service if there was an event that we thought was gonna use an extraordinary amount of water for some reason. We don't have that set right now. As of right now, I think we just advance it, that it's included, and then we can discuss further. I don't know if you talked with David.
Dave
about-
suggested 2,000 gallons
Okay, do you
for
think,
a day.
so,
He said that was a fair estimate of what somebody would normally use.
so the committee can add that in if you wish to add, after that, the use of water up to 2,000 gallons per day.
Okay, I think that's reasonable. Anything else? If not, then I'd ask for a motion to approve this schedule of fees for 2016, so we can start taking reservations.
I'll move it.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Kenny, second by Mayor Blaze. Discussion, so I'm assuming that the motion is to adopt this schedule, including that the deposits are non-refundable, it includes water up to 2,000 gallons. Subcontractors have to provide a certificate of insurance, is that all right? Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, carried.
Does this have to be adopted by your full board, Mr. Chairman?
I guess, yeah, it should be,
So
but-
we won't put out any
Yeah.
applications then?
Okay. So we're on to referral pending items, park maintenance schedule, estimated budget, cost estimate for park signage.
Yeah, I don't have an update on that, but that's something that, as the park has developed, I think we're getting better clarity on that, so we'll refocus on
Yeah.
that.
And we did get a proposal, I think was it at the PMEC? You have so many different meetings, I don't remember what happened at what meetings, but we had a proposal regarding maintenance of the south parcel of the wetlands. It was an estimate of about $20,000, 22, I think.
And we had an old proposal from the village on their general day-to-day maintenance of the park, and so I think we wanna revisit that, cause that was some time ago that was developed. I do have one other item, a new item that, Mayor Blaze had brought some draft rules. Because of the progress of the skate park and how quickly that's going, I apologize, I don't have copies for everyone, but because of the progress of the skate park, we do anticipate that's gonna be available for use later this fall. And, so one of the things that Mayor Blaze had done, and Mayor, you can speak to this, is reach out to similar parks to try and begin developing some skate park rules
Right.
that can be posted before we open it.
We got a hold of Saugerties and Watertown and a couple other places and got the park rules together that they had. And then I met with some of the young people that have been instrumental in raising the money for the park, and they went through them, and we tried to reduce them as much as we could. So we didn't have some of the signs were huge. You'd spend all your time reading the rules and not have any time to skate. But we came up with what you see in front of you, and my suggestion would be that we forward this to the county attorney, have him take a look at it, and if it's agreeable or he wants to change any of the items, we need to go ahead and get the signage ready for the park when it opens, which I'm anticipating is gonna be close to a month from now.
So the idea is, as soon as that construction is done, it would open?
Within a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be hard to keep
pretty
people off of
popular.
it
It's gonna be
once
pretty hard to keep
it's done.
people
Right.
out of there once
Right.
it's done.
Access will be the issue.
Yeah.
There's still construction that has to be done, from both directions.
Right.
Unless the access is through the Dow parking lot. But, they'll be putting in sidewalks, there'll be, heavy equipment, concrete trucks, until we're done all the way out to the beach road.
Right,
Well, I just think we ought to move this it's the last element.
yeah.
So I just move that we turn this over to the county attorney for his approval or amendments, whatever he sees fit.
The thing I wonder about is, though, the last item there, attendant may eject any users. So if there's an event going on there, there'll be an attendant, but if there's no event, then there won't be an attendant, right?
We had planned in our program, the village had planned to have an attendant there every day
Okay.
during the season.
Mm-hmm.
Someone on duty in the park, mowing, trimming, doing something, watching the restrooms, keep them busy. In the budget we gave Jeff, there'll be an attendant in the park, but he won't be assigned specifically.
To the
The
skate
theory
park.
being if something's going on wrong, they're gonna come and get him, and he can go over there and enforce the rules.
Okay.
But most of the parks that we looked at did not have an attendant on duty all the time. We more or less left it up to them to enforce it. Ours is not a large skate park. Ours is pretty small.
Okay. So can we have a motion then to recommend this, and refer it to the county attorney for review? Motion by Supervisor Kenny, seconded by Mayor Blaze. Right. Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, carried. Okay, then, last item is information for discussion review, County Westbrook parking lot construction update.
Yes, I did move some money through DPW committee, for the County Westbrook, parking lot, that'll allow us to complete the project this fall. The plan is still to begin construction September 15th. We are advancing the bid for the porous asphalt that'll be contracted out. We've also got some other construction documents that are awaiting approval of EFC. They're the primary granting agency. So if we can get the final approvals from them, we'll be on schedule to begin construction in mid-September. We do have, as we've discussed in the past, Mayor Blaze and I have discussed many times, we have events planned, and we're gonna have a torn up parking lot, so we're gonna try and accommodate as best we can and maintain access. But it's gonna take a lot of close coordination, as we've been used to doing over the last few years on this project anyway.
But that entrance to Beach Road, that won't be completed in time for the parking lot construction, right?
Close.
Really? Okay. So they gotta come in one way or the other, right? They gotta come in either from Westbrook Road or from Beach Road.
We do have, if we can get started in mid-September, that gives us plenty of construction season to allow for some weather shutdowns or some other difficulties. It is quite a project to expand that parking lot. It's also gonna generate quite a bit more revenue for the county, going into next season. But the project includes expanding the parking lot right up to the curb line as it is in front of the park now. That'll allow parallel parking along in front of slant parking along the front edge of the park. Right now, it's only parallel. It'll also have parallel parking along the Brookside. So we're gonna get more spaces. We're installing, by contract, it'll be porous asphalt, and it involve quite a bit of excavation for that recharge zone that needs to be installed below the asphalt. We're gonna be putting in more pay stations, and we also have some additional lighting going in, and some at-grade crossings for pedestrian traffic coming from the park and over, crossing the bridge, the county-owned bridge over the actual Westbrook that goes over towards the south parcel. So it's quite a project, so we wanna get as early a start as possible. We knew all along we wanted to start after the car show, and that's still our plan. It's just now we've got some other events that are gonna be in the park, and so we'll have to, we're gonna add as much flexibility as we can into the contract, and our feeling is we've gotta get it done now so that it's ready for next spring season, when virtually the entire park will be built out, the festival space will be built out, and that county parking lot will be 100% ready to go for the spring. And then there's a few other minor stuff with a water feature maybe that will go next year, but much of the park will be constructed.
So for the benefit of the rest of the committee members, Mayor, you estimated what revenue we would take in based on your experience in other parking lots in Lake George from this parking lot when it's fully completed?
Originally, I think we estimated that this year, it would take in somewhere around $80,000.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna be very low.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're coming pretty close to that. It's been very, very popular location.
Right.
And that's with the number of, that's with a lot less parking than you've got now. And as we fill the festival space with events, it's gonna be even drawn out even longer. It's been a very popular parking lot.
Yeah. So between 100 to 120,000 probably.
County's looking at
Yeah.
over $100,000 they can count on
Yeah.
annually from that lot.
And then another 60,000 from the festival space, 55, 60, yeah. Yeah.
But there was only 2 events scheduled. I've moved the circus, I got a approval from the state to move the circus over to the Battleground Park. And the other event is the American Music Festival. They have Sawyer Fredericks coming.
Right.
They're gonna crawl over hills, valleys, and streams to get
Right.
to see him.
Mm-hmm.
And the tickets are selling like crazy.
Few drones too will probably be in the
I'd
air.
just like to read you an email from Melissa Tadish in Louisiana. Several of us are flying in for the festival from 1,000 miles away or more. I'm coming from Louisiana. I'm wondering if there's gonna be a meet and greet. If it helps, all of us are flying. We're all adults. We're no screaming girls. We're coming from California,
They make
Texas,
sure you know.
Louisiana, Alabama, Wisconsin, North Carolina, and Florida for our reunion for the American Music Festival in Lake George. We've never been there before, and the tickets are going like crazy.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's not gonna make any difference if the road's under construction or not. They're coming to see Sawyer Fredericks.
Right, yeah.
The other thing, just to show you the value of occupancy tax, Arlo Guthrie's concert has made the front cover of the New York State Harley Davidson magazine, and Lake George, Warren County, and town of Lake George are on the front cover of this magazine in the July edition,
Mhm.
All over New York State. And I don't know how he did it, but he's on there, but so are we.
That's great.
Can't buy that kind of
No, I know it, no, that's great, yeah. great publicity, yeah.
One other thing I'll mention, the county parking lot's handled through separate permits, but in conjunction, and so I'll be working with Lisa Grant on those. If an event comes in and wants to also rent the county parking lot, we handle that through a separate permit from my office. And I would anticipate that once we get through this construction going into next season, we'll want to, and I'll do that through DPW committee, but we'll be looking at increasing the rental rate for that as well. It'll be a much larger space and completely, newly constructed, so right now, DPW set that rate at $1,500 a day to have exclusive use of the parking lot in conjunction with an event in the festival space, and I anticipate that's gonna go up, you know, probably similar to, what the park rates went up.
Okay, very good. Any other business for this committee? Privilege of the floor? Yes, sir. Yes.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Mike Sewell, Lake George Chamber.
Yeah.
As most of you know, the Chamber was tasked with the development design of the Festival Commons website.
Right.
Various meetings, discussions, opinions. It was finally approved. The site is up and running. Very good thing. I would hope that everyone is in favor of it, likes it very much. Throughout, since it's been up, I've heard some very, very positive things. I've heard a couple of, little tweaks that are needed to be here and there. And that's what's bringing me to this meeting this morning, is that, through obligation, we have delivered the site. We are now in need of someone to manage the site, and I'm here to just request that a meeting be held in the future, perhaps, between ourselves, to determine who that may be, whether it's through the county, whether it's through George Normandin, who is the design developer of the site itself. The festival is going great. The mayor's done a great job in booking events. However, there's also a need for a plan to be put in place to drive people to the website. Right now, it's word of mouth, and but there should be an advertising and marketing campaign that's going to get people to go to the site to see all of the great things that are taking place. So I'm just here to again request a future meeting, mayor, myself, and whomever, to discuss where do we go now, because right now any changes that are being made to the site, we made a couple of minor tweaks. It's going through this department, through the chamber, and we're absorbing the cost, but that needs to be discussed further.
Well, it's, as I recall, it was designed so that we have the tools to be able to update it, correct? When new events come up?
That's correct.
We have the tools, but you're saying who's actually gonna do it? Yeah.
Exactly.
But I think we should have a meeting probably that involves the tourism department, and probably somebody from the architects, maybe Supervisor Kenny, Mayor, yourself, and George Normandin, to figure that out, so.
We're open to anything. I would just bring it.
Who?
Mike Coleman.
Okay.
If it's something the county IT department,
Right.
'cause they manage our website
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, we may be able to get the county IT department to do it, so we'll get a meeting scheduled.
Yeah, it's immaterial as to who does it. It's just that we need to identify
Right.
someone so that when the changes are needed to be made, someone can be contacted.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other business for the committee? Nat, motion to adjourn. Made, seconded, all in favor? Aye.
Getting asked by many different people.